Hey guys, and welcome back to Chat and Breeze. So today we are going to talk about how I came up with my brand name and the process basically I went through to get it. So sometimes it's really difficult if you're not creating a brand which is for yourself, so i.e. me using my name, which kind of makes it a little easier because your name is your name, right? But when you're wanting to create a brand which has to have a brand name, so it's not just about you, it's about your product, you really have to kind of start from the bottom and try and filter and find your way through to creating a name which resonates with other people, resonates with yourself, that you like obviously, that might mean something potentially depending on what your product is that you're selling, and it can be a little overwhelming. And I know I have been back to the drawing board many a time, so I want to save you guys the hassle really, and maybe the steps that I wish I'd known prior to try to make trying to come up with my brand name, and what it is that I had to remember or what I should have thought about when I even started trying to think about the name. Step one, I was trying to come up with a name which resonated with what my brand was going to be about. I am creating a t-shirt which is for women at this moment in time. It's purely based for women, and I wanted something which felt empowering, which felt a little bit tongue-in-cheek, a little bit kind of cocky, maybe some might say, a little bit of the two fingers up, the other way around, not this way, to everything which is going on currently in regards to social media and platforms and stuff which are telling women that they need to look a certain way or they need to be a certain way. I really wanted a brand name which was going to kind of do all these different things and speak to people in all these different ways. But what I didn't think about also is when choosing a brand name, you want to have a brand name that you can also get on Reg123 or anything like that you can purchase basically. Because if you cannot purchase the name, then guess what? It doesn't matter how you build your brand, somebody else is going to sweep on in there and they're going to say, oh, well, guess what? If you want this name, now you're going to have to pay for it. And you'll probably be paying way over the odds of what you ever would have paid had you just got a brand new name. So, another thing I needed to think about was it's easier to get a name when you're purchasing it that doesn't exist. Bear with me on this one. So, if you want to get a name like Peaches, for instance, as your brand name, well, Peaches is actually a thing. Like, there is a thing such as a peach. So to try, when you're purchasing, if you haven't got a big budget initially, you will find that sometimes names which have an association to something become more expensive to purchase. It's not that you can't purchase it, it's just that it's more expensive to purchase. But if you are able to think about a name which either is completely made up, you've just created something, then obviously no one's going to have it anyway, no one's going to probably even think about it or want it, so then you can register it. Or you may be combining two different names together. So for myself, I created Chatting Breeze. So yes, now if you actually have a look, it is in the Urban Dictionary, I believe. But prior to that, when I purchased it ages ago, always holding on to it, thinking maybe I was going to do something with it. Then when I was thinking about a list of names and stuff like that, it came back into the mix and I thought potentially maybe to use Chatting Breeze. For myself, the significance of it, as I said, I wanted a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, two fingers up, empowering brand name, which was going to make people realize that the industry of fashion and everything, it is there to make us, supposed to make us feel good, right? We wear things to make us feel good about ourselves, to make us feel confident, to make us feel sexy at times, to make us feel like we can do whatever it is and we can go out to the world and be the best versions of ourselves. It is not supposed to be this one size kind of fits all serious thing. Now don't get me wrong, there is part of fashion that obviously is serious. If you're looking at kind of big designers and stuff like that, of course, you know, we take inspiration from the catwalks all the time. It then gets filtered into the high street. Yes, there is a kind of sliding kind of scale of how fashion's created to then it coming onto the high street. However, it is also supposed to be fun, and I just feel like currently as well, we're living in a time that, you know, it's about kind of all about wearing the right thing or wearing the right brand, and you know, you have everyone on Insta or whatever social media platform just consistently showing you what it is that you should look like and be wearing and what names are hot at the time and things like that. And who cares? If I'm wearing something and I feel good in it and I look good in it, do I really care otherwise? You know, apart from that, no. Now maybe to a degree that's my age coming into play, but at the same time it is all about just making yourself feel good when you walk out the door. Life is hard enough as it is. The last thing you want to be doing is worrying about what you're wearing and what you look like. Hence why I even created the t-shirts I created, to make women feel good about themselves, even if they're just wearing a t-shirt and jeans or a t-shirt and trousers, and actually to show how flipping versatile that t-shirt can be. So, as I was saying, I then went to have a look. Obviously, I'd already registered it, so that was all fine. And then I took different versions as well. So just remember as well, just because you might buy a .com or .co.uk, so chatandbreeze.com, that might be what I wanted. But actually, if it's not too expensive, it's also pretty good to get chatandbreeze.co.uk, because someone else could come on if your brand does succeed and it is big, and come along and try and piggyback off the back of all that work that you've put in. So make sure as much as you can, you cover yourself and you buy all the domain names that you possibly can, which are under your brand name. And that's why I also say about trying to create a new name or getting something which is a collaboration of different names, because you'll find it won't be as expensive. So you might be able to, you know, afford in your budget to spend the £20, $20, whatever it is, on the name, and then do that a few times over. It can be cheaper than that, obviously. You could get some which for, you know, a £5 whatever it is. So do remember, even when you come up with your name, do check, because if you want to build a website, if you want to do all of that, you will require a domain name, and it is very, very important. Now, you don't want to do all that hard work for someone else to reap any benefit or any financial gain from you at the end if you haven't purchased it at the beginning. When I was thinking about different names, I created a list. So I just thought of all the different names I could possibly think of, remembering what it is that I wanted to come back to, remembering that how I wanted to build my brand and what I wanted it to represent and who my target audience was. So I wrote down all names that I thought could be associated with that and could do well. And as time was going on, I kept repeating the names. I was repeating it out to family members, to friends and stuff like that, and Chatting Breeze just kept coming up as one of the ones, and it kept that was one of the ones that people remembered as well, because it's all well and good. This is another thing you have to remember. People have to remember your brand. That is the whole point. You want someone to remember your brand name. So you need something, not that you can just remember, which is very difficult to spell or difficult to say. You know, you need to make it as easy as possible for people to remember how to say it, how to pronounce it, and what it's spelled like, because that is going to help you again further down the line than having to try and educate people. It's hard enough with all the brands that we have nowadays anyway, and if you're starting out new, for people to remember your brand name, very, very difficult. So you need something which is easy, I would say, something just short, sharp, brief, punchy, that people are going to, it's going to spark. And even if people can't remember the whole length of it, even if they just get a little bit of it, you think, okay, I'm on the right lines here then, because they've remembered part of it. So it will just take repetition for them to remember the whole of the name. And that's what I was finding with Chatting Breeze. People were remembering it very quickly and catching on to it very quickly, and seem to really love the tongue-in-cheekness, just made that up, of the brand name, and felt like it fitted what I was trying to create with my t-shirts really well. As I said, a couple of things you really need to think about. Write a list. Make sure that list is coinciding with what you want your brand to represent. When you start to shortlist the initial list, share with friends and family, see what it is that they remember, see what it is that sticks into their brain. Don't think that you're going to get this right straight away. You aren't. Sometimes it takes a long time to be able to get something that you're comfortable with. And then make sure that you are able to get the domain names and purchase that. Make sure that that's within your financial budget to do so. And if someone else has it, see when it expires, because if it's going to expire in a week, you might want to hold out to see if they renew their license to hold the domain name or not. If they don't, then you can swoop on in there and get that before they do. I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to do another vlog on branding, as in logos and things like that, and potentially where you can go if you're not someone who is super creative or can sketch and, you know, do all that kind of stuff. And if you are someone, then what you can do to get your logos together and how you want that to look. But anyway, I hope that this was helpful to you. Pop a comment below.